Don't ever talk to the dead. This guy says that when his mom was younger, she used to be a nurse. She admitted to him that she was the kind of nurse that would get really close to people, so whenever they did pass away, she would make it a point to go to their room and say goodbye to them. However, she stopped doing that because of something that happened to her. And of course, I'm gonna tell you the story that his mom told him. She says it was really early in the morning and they just found out that an old lady that she had been taking care of named Lucero had passed away. The mom and Lucero had become very close friends. Because of this, the death of Lucero hit her really hard. The mom admits that when she went to go say goodbye to her body that was in the room, she started crying and she had never done that in the past. When she went next to her in that bed, she obviously said goodbye to her and told her to rest easy and she was going to be in a better place. However, as soon as those words came out of her mouth, she had a really strange feeling like somebody was standing behind her. And it was in that very moment where she heard the following words.
She is going to hell, the same place that you're going to.
The mom started shaking like she was in shock, and it was to the point where she didn't realize when this happened, but Lucero, the lady that had passed away, her hand was holding on to her arm very tightly. When she noticed that, Lucero's hand holding on to her, she immediately screamed so loud to the point where her co-workers come running into the room. When they walk into the room, they were all in shock because Lucero's body was thrown on the ground facing down, like her face was down on the ground. The reason why everybody was in shock was because they all knew that Lucero was already on the bed and tied up. You know how they tie those bodies up so they don't move? She had been tied up. How did she end up on the ground facing down? When Lucero's family shows up to the hospital, the mom immediately goes up to them and asks them if they're gonna have a mass for her. Unfortunately, the family told her that they were not believers in God and that Lucero had never even been baptized. The mom asked the family for permission to maybe bring a priest to bless the body, and because they knew how close the nurse was to Lucero, they actually agreed. So the mom actually calls up a priest that she knew and told him everything that had happened. The priest went ahead and blessed the body, and before he left, he went up to the mom, the nurse. He does end up telling her that she needs to be very careful when she's talking to a dead body. That if she's going to continue to be doing this, she needs to make sure that the people are actually baptized. Basically warns her to not talk to the dead. In my head, I'm like, nurses already have a hard-ass job. Can you imagine just, adding, make sure you're baptized to the fucking list because you will experience some crazy shit. New fear unlocked. But what do you guys think?
I will never forget the day that I almost became someone's pet. Yeah, bitch, you heard me right. Someone's pet. I was maybe like 10 or 12 years old, old enough to still be playing pretend games, but old enough to know that something is not right. Old enough to feel the vibe, you know what I mean?
Treat him nice and place him where there's a lot of light and water, but whatever you do, don't ever feed him any of your blood. This happened in Mexico, of course. Guys, if I sound a little weird, I'm still healing from my wisdom teeth. So this lady says that it was her birthday and she works at a school, and one of the teachers gifted her a duende. It was ugly, it was an ugly little duende, and it even felt very negative. She says that when the teacher gifted it to her, she doesn't know if she was playing around or not, but she told her, place him where there's a lot of light and water, and whatever you do not feed him any of your blood. After the lady says that, all the teachers, including her, start laughing, and they're like, okay, well, this is a joke. So the day was over and she ends up packing all her gifts, including the duende, and she says that somebody that was a part of the faculty came up to her and was like, hey, be careful with that because it's not a joke. She was like, don't make a mistake. And
I lost my baby in Mexico. I really did, you guys. When my daughter was about 4 to 5, I lost her almost in Mexico. Let me tell you guys a story time. So my husband has a lot of family in TJ, so Tijuana, Mexico, right? And my father-in-law goes there all the time. He asked us so many times to take the kids. I would never let them go because I am so terrified of them being kidnapped, okay? Terrified. Never let them go at all. So when they were my daughter was she was 4 or 5 and my son was 3 or 4. So we agreed that we would go because one of the family members was having a king size. So we go, and the first couple of days I'm just a nervous wreck because they lived on top of literally a cliff almost. It's on a big old hill, a mountain. So I was just terrified the whole time. I was watching them like a hawk. I didn't even enjoy my time because I was watching them so much. So we decided we were gonna go with all of his family to Papas and Beer, right, in Ensenada. So we go. It's probably 15 of us.
Are you guys ready for another brujeria story? Because this one is crazy, and yes, it is yet again another love spell kind. And what I've learned from the last brujeria story that I did, apparently love spells will never work because you can never take someone's free will away. Didn't know that. Wow. Scary. Let's carry on. What did I just turn into the Grinch? So this story is from Patricia, and she starts off by saying that I regret every single thing I did. She starts off by telling us that ever since she was little, her life has been hard, and it's because she's always...
Okay, I know nobody's probably gonna see this, but I need somebody's opinion because I feel like I'm losing my mind. So I've been on and off with this dude for 2 years now, okay? 2 years. 365 days times 2. And he has cheated on me in the relationship multiple times, okay? Would break up because he cheated on me, he's doing this, he's doing that, okay? We break up for not less than a week, and it's never...
Let's read a couple scary stories I found on Reddit. This story takes place 4 years ago, and it still haunts me to this day. It was Christmas night, and my family and I were driving home from this fancy restaurant. I, unlike my family, wasn't tired, so the 45-minute drive seemed perpetual. On top of that, my little sister was constantly moaning about how her friend didn't get her anything for Christmas. After about 20 minutes of driving, my dad stopped at a gas station to get some cigarettes, and my sister, brother, and mother all got out to pee. I stayed in the car as I had already gone before we left. Once they all left, I decided to play a few games on my phone. I looked at the car clock and saw that 10 minutes had passed, so I immediately wondered what was taking them so long. As soon as I peered out of the car window, I saw a man staring at our car. The man startled me as I didn't know how long he had been watching. What made it even more unnerving is that he had a plain blank face. No expression was shown. It was hard to make out any features as it was pretty dark and he wasn't standing in an illuminated part of the station. He was about 5'9" and looked to be middle-aged. Once he saw me notice him, he started walking towards the car, and I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't scared. Luckily, my dad came back with the rest of the family just as the man took a couple of steps. My dad apologized and told me he had been in an argument with the cashier. I didn't care. I was just glad that my dad was with me. I took another glance at the man outside, and he was still staring, but this time he had an annoyed look on his face. We drove off, and for the rest of the car ride, I couldn't stop thinking about that man. This wouldn't have been too bad if it had ended there, but it didn't. Later that night...
You want a real spooky one that actually happened and nobody can explain it? This didn't happen in the Appalachian Mountains like my normal stories, but it did happen to 9 hikers, and what happened to them is still unexplained. Like, nobody can explain it. I want to know your thoughts on this because this is my Roman Empire. I think about this all the time. So in January 1959, these 9 experienced, not run-of-the-mill hikers, these very experienced Russian hikers are hiking the Ural Mountains. There were 3 different checkpoints along the way. They made it to the first checkpoint, and then they check in with like radio team or whatever to let them know that there's...
Boom! Story time on how I found out my brethren's mom is a bass head. Bass head of bass heads. Bass head galore. Yeah? So let me give man the rundown. So since year 11, man used to see bare youths in and out of my brethren's yard, didn't it? But you're young, you don't really think of it too much. You're just thinking, yeah, family, So it gets to first year college now. I see the same youths every day, cause our college was right next to his crib, innit? So I see the same youths every day, just in and out, in and out. Then I start questioning them. I'm like, yo, my bro, who's his youths? He just say family, innit? Cool, I don't blame him, say family. Boom, now, second year college hit. This is when I get my SIA badge. I'm working at Tesco now, innit? I'm working at Tesco. Them youths come in the shop, they're like, my brother, my brother, I'm not saying my name. They come in, they slam me. I'm like, yeah, my brother, yeah. Make sure man don't shoplift before I do you man in. Cool now. Them man start buying baking soda. They buy a Pyrex bowl. And they buy cling film. I'm just there watching the cameras in shock. Because it all adds up now. These 3 black youths have no business chilling in my brethren's Asian's mum yard. You get what I'm trying to say? So all this makes sense. His mum's a bass head. and since then, he ain't joined a PS4 party ever again.
Tonight's true scary story is about demons, and you need to protect yourself before watching this video. I mean it, because this one is intense. Please excuse my appearance. I just got a spray tan and I can't wash it off yet. Please remember to subscribe to my YT channel. The link is in my link tree. Okay, so let's get started. Tonight's submitter's name is Melanie, and the little backstory on her is important because she has 3 different tribes in her bloodline, Native American tribes, and that is Choctaw, Cherokee, and Eskimo. By the way, Melanie does not want to be tagged, but she will be in the comments if you guys have any questions or comments for her. Her grandfather was the chief and shaman of her Cherokee tribe. Every woman in her family has been a sensitive, including her. She has had several terrifying experiences, and she has had an experience with one particular entity that is absolutely terrifying. I have to skip over something. Tonight's true scary story is so terrifying that cops actually had to get involved and come investigate this house because whatever was in this house was terrorizing this woman's children. As I have tried to film this like 5 times and had to redo it, like something does not want me to make this video. Protect yourselves in any way you see fit before and after this video. Also, before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe to the link is in my link tree in my bio, where I tell scarier stories and longer versions of stories, and I am going to be covering the Bridgeport poltergeist on there tonight or tomorrow. So if you want to send me your true scary story, my email is in my bio. It's not working for some people right now until I get it fixed. If it does not work for you, please DM me your story. Tonight's submitter's name is Michelle. Michelle will also be tagged in the description. If you have any questions or comments for her, drop them below. When Michelle's kids were 4 and 9 years old, they moved into a house. After they moved into the house, Michelle noticed something. There was a horrible energy to this house, but it was especially isolated in the kids' bedroom. One night, it's around 4 a.m., and she wakes up to her 9-year-old son standing by her bed, shaking and crying. He is in absolute hysterics. He's trying to tell her what.
Stop scrolling so I can tell you a scary story. Stop scrolling, okay? You here? Are you here? Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Let me tell you about the house I grew up in, okay? It wasn't just haunted. It was wrong. Now, once we moved in, things started off very small, like the TVs turning on and off, lights flickering on and off, okay? And this was a very old house. We would hear footsteps in the hall at night when there was literally nobody there. Beds were sinking, and sinking as in like someone, you know, like when you sit on a bed and the bed sinks, like that kind of sinking, except obviously no one was fucking there. But the house wasn't just haunted. This is gonna sound crazy, but it was alive, okay? And it wanted my mom. She was one that was very receptive to it. She was very...
Tonight's true scary story is one of the scariest ones I've gotten in a long time. I don't even know what to call this one, so I'm just going to call it the Night of Terror, because that's what it was. Do not play this out in the open. You need to have headphones in, and you need to say prayers. Before I get started, I just want to remind you, subscribe to my YT, where I tell scarier stories, longer versions of stories, and the same stories I tell in here over there. And tonight, I'm going to be telling an extended version of this story on there. The link is in my link tree in my bio. Also, if you want to send me your true scary story, and you want me to recount it on here, my email is in my bio. It's kaisespooky@gmail.com. Okay, let's get started. So tonight's true scary story submitter's name is Michelle, and Michelle has given us a story before, and it was terrifying. I will link it below. Michelle did say that I could tag her, so she will be tagged in the description. If you guys have any questions or comments for her, she will be in the comments, so drop them below. Michelle has had a life of paranormal activity. She has been able to see spirits since she was 16 years old. It was nothing crazy though. The spirits would just try to talk to her, and she would just see them like hanging around. That is, until she moved into a house that was in Idaho. This is where she would encounter something that would traumatize her for the rest of her life. There was a few spirits in this house that
Guys, this girl, she downloaded a sleeping app. You know those apps that like track your movement when you're sleeping? Okay, she downloaded one and she caught something in the background that was not supposed to be there, and it's really creepy, and I want to tell you guys about it. So there's an actual like audio recording that I will show you guys, but I'm going to give you guys some context first. So back in 2013, a Reddit user posts saying, "I use an app called Sleep as Android to improve my sleep. One of the features is that it records your nighttime noises. Snoring, sleep talk, ruffles, coughing, whatever, all that stuff. I've been using the app since October 1st of 2013. I've never caught anything other than sounds created by me changing positions or coughing or something like that." She then says that she's told that she talks in her sleep by other people. But on December 30th at 2:04 a.m., she caught something very weird. To set up, this night I was sleeping in my bed. My 3-year-old was with me that night, and he's scared of the dark. That night, it was just the two of them in the house. There was nobody.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side. It went to both. Yeah.
Today's true scary story is my best friend got possessed and tried to unalive me. Guys, this one is crazy, and this is why you do not play around with paranormal games. Guys, the game they played itself was dangerous and could have unalived their friend that got possessed just in the game itself. I don't know if you guys remember this game, but it's where you breathe really, really heavy, and then you push on your friend's chest, and then they pass out, and then 10 to 15 seconds later, spirits are supposed to be able to talk through them. Yeah, super dangerous. That could unalive you. Don't ever try this game ever. Before we get started though, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my YT channel where I tell scarier stories, longer versions of stories I tell on here, and the same stories. The link is in the link tree in my bio. Also keep sending me your scary stories. My email is in my bio. It's kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Okay, let's get started. So we're gonna call today's submitter Molly, and Molly has experienced paranormal things her entire life. Until the age of 15 to 16 years old, she was actually able to see full apparitions of spirits. She's always been able to sense and feel things that would be considered paranormal, and it seems to follow her wherever she goes. Shadow people, things moving, getting thrown or drug around. That's terrifying in itself. Waking up with weird marks on her body, like bruises and scratches, and wherever she goes, activity seems to ramp up. And she's also been able to communicate with spirits, things like knowing their age, sex, how they. So from the ages of 14 to 24, her and her friends would actively search out like ways to find ghosts. They would go ghost hunting, things like that. One of the most haunted places that she had ever lived was a place in Idaho, and she lived there from the ages of 13 to 16. It was a large manufactured home on 10 to 15 acres that her and her family had set up like a little beef farm. The closest neighbor was 2 acres across the field, and then the next one was about a mile away. So when she was 15 years old, her stepfather and her mother left for the weekend, and they actually let her have some friends over to stay with her while they were gone. It had just gotten dark outside when everybody arrived to the house. It was her best friend, her little sister, and her best friend's little sister, and then a neighbor from across the road. When they would take ghost adventures and like do ghost hunting and stuff, they had actually experienced a lot of activity. So they wanted to do more. They wanted to experience something in her home. They were actually smart kids. They would set up traps for things for the ghost to move. They would put sheets on the floor that were perfectly smooth, and they would see if it was like wrinkled or if they could see footsteps. They would set up tape recorders to catch things banging on the doors and the walls. And this was in the early 2000s, so this is when cell phones weren't that popular. Now on this night, they all retreated back to her room. Now it's important to note that it would take her about 35 to 40 seconds to get from her room to the kitchen. Now, while they're all waiting for all the ghosty stuff to happen and for all their traps to really go off, they're all sitting in her room and they decide that they want to play a game. It starts off with you doing like a seance or some type of ritual. I can't remember the name of it, and neither can she, but basically you do the seance and the ritual. Then one person after that stands against the wall, gets on their hands and knees and bends over and then hyperventilates. You do this for about 2 minutes. That's insane. Then they stand up, they go against the wall, they put their arms across their chest, and then 2 people push on their chest, and then they're supposed to pass out for like 10 to 15 seconds. Then while they're passed out, they call whatever spirit they want to come in, and they go into the person's body and they speak through them basically. Now her and her sister's friend did this and nothing happened. So then her best friend volunteers to do it. But while they're waiting, they start to hear like banging sounds and like doors opening and closing, and then they're hearing like little whispers, and they think it's creepy. It's creeping them out, but they want to catch something. So they want their traps to stay out there for a little bit longer, so they want to wait a little bit. So they decide to do this. So her friend bends over, she starts hyperventilating, she stands up, she puts her arms across her chest, and her and her sister push on her best friend's chest. Now, as soon as her eyes start to roll in the back of her head, the lights start flickering. You guys, I cannot get my lights to stop flickering. That was fucking weird. Side note, in order to scare you guys, I just did that and twisted my light like to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the minute I did that, my light just started flickering and I was not touching the light. I'm a little freaked out right now. Okay, anyway, so after she passes out, they slowly lower her to the ground and they push her closer to the door. Now, it's 10 to 15 seconds has passed at this point. She's not up. A minute passes. She's not up. A minute, 30 seconds passes. She's not up. They're starting to worry that they hurt her friend, when all of a sudden, about after 2 minutes, she just shoots straight up. Now, at this point, everyone is laughing and joking around because they're like, thank God she's okay. When one of her other friends notices that the friend is not acting normal, she's sitting straight up and she's just staring directly at the wall. When all of a sudden, she just slowly looks over at her friend and her eyes are pitch black. That was not her best friend. The look that she was giving her was pure evil. She said that after that, she looked at her again, tilted her head a little bit, and gave her the creepiest smile. And all of a sudden, she just stands up super quickly, and everybody's just backing away from her because they're scared. And then she just slowly turns, she walks out the door, and she starts walking down the hallway. And as she's walking down the hallway, she just turns her head, she looks at them, and she just smiles at them again. That creepy smile. She then shows up 15 seconds later, mind you, with a huge shiny object in her hand, and she just has it at her side, dangling at her side with that huge creepy smile on her face. Now, mind you, it takes about 35 to 45 seconds to get to the kitchen. She said her head was tilted sideways, her hair was all disheveled and in her face, and she was just looking straight at Molly. She just starts running at her, holding that object up in the air, and she's just screaming like a crazed banshee, running towards her best friend. Thank God her sister and the other two people that were there jumped in and were trying to get the object away from her. Now, mind you, all of these kids are like farm kids, so they deal with large animals every single day. They have to pick up like 100-pound bags and throw them. These are not weak kids. And she said it took them about 5 minutes for all of them to subdue her. And she ended up getting on her chest and sitting on her chest. Girl's little sister is laying on her legs, and the neighbor and Molly's little sister are having to hold down one arm each to try to get the object away from her. Meanwhile, she's hitting, scratching, biting, trying to choke her best friend. So Molly just looks down at her and starts screaming, "Get the fuck out of my best friend! Get out of my effing house!" Then her best friend stops screaming herself and starts coughing, like she has to like gasp for breath. She's like, almost like she had been choking the whole time. And then she looks at her best friend very confused, and she's like, "What are you guys doing? Why are you on my chest? Get off of me. What are you guys doing?" They said that it took about an hour to convince her what had just happened, and that she wasn't actually out for just 10 to 15 seconds, that she was actually out for 2 minutes, and much longer apparently, since there was something inside of her trying to unalive her best friend. Meanwhile, they're still banging, murmuring, all this stuff going around the house. They end up turning up the radio in her room so that it would drown out all the sound. They locked themselves in that room, and they did not come out for the rest of the night. Now, Molly said that after that night, nothing like that ever happened again in that house. She said that she has many other stories. She's been dealing with the paranormal her whole entire life, so she has some crazy stories. So if you guys want to hear some of those stories, drop it in the comments. Side note, I did just get an email from her. She said that I could use her real name and that she could be tagged. So her name is Michelle, and she will be tagged in the description. If you guys have any comments or questions for her, she will be in the comments. But what do you guys think happened here? Has anyone ever played this game before? I remember hearing about it when I was younger and hearing that it was super dangerous, that people had actually been unalived just from the game. I've never personally played it, but has anyone else played it? And has anyone else played a game that has gone wrong? Like a game like this that has just gone terribly wrong? And what do you think possessed her? What do you think this was? Like, this was an interesting one, you guys. This is also your warning not to play scary games like this. Don't do it. It's dangerous. My name is Kaisa. I tell true scary stories every single night. If you guys like that, hit that follow button. If you have a true scary story that you want me to recount on here, my email is in my bio. It's kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Sorry. Other than that, I absolutely love you guys. Seriously, you guys are the best ever. Every single one of you. I love you with all my heart. I appreciate your support more than you could possibly understand. I need you to have a wonderful night, a safe night, but I need you to do one more thing for me. And what is that? Have a spooky night. Love you guys. See you in the next one.
I'm gonna tell you guys about the scariest paranormal experience I've ever had in my life. Little quick context, I grew up in a very scary haunted house. I accidentally a Ouija board when I was 6, so I was constantly followed by terrifying experiences my whole life. So this specific time, I think I was 12 years old. Sorry, excuse that beeping in the background.
Okay, scary spooky story time. It's 1986. My mother and one of my aunts decide that we're going to move into this house. Her 3 kids and my mom and my sister and I. It's moving day. We arrive at this house with a box truck to move everything. And the oldest one among us was my cousin, who at the time was about 16, 17 years old. She's helping the most with the adults, moving things in. Us kids are doing what we can. Most of us are under 12. And she, at some point, went and dropped something off inside the house and was left alone while the rest of us were by the truck, arranging things, moving things, trying to figure out what to take next, whatnot. She goes in through the front door, through the living room, through the hallway, into one of the bedrooms. She drops off a box. As she turns around to go back through the bedroom door, the door wasn't closed, but it wasn't open all the way. It's about halfway open, she says. She looks through the door and sees somebody walking in the living room. Not walking into the living room, walking within the living room. And she said that she immediately noticed something was different because the gait in this person's walk was completely different than any of us kids or, her mom or my mom. The tempo at which this person was walking was different, certainly not that of someone in a hurry moving things. And she said that he was walking in circles in the living room. Now, she describes him as very tall, as dressed completely in black, although she says she couldn't detect like a shirt and pants and shoes, like where one started and the other one stopped. It was just in black. And that it was wearing a like top hat, but not tall, kind of shorter. And that he had long, wiry hair that came down to his shoulders like this. And it was just flat down, she said. And the hat covered this hair. But she said that she couldn't really tell any facial features with the exception of his eyes. Now, she said that his eyes look like two charcoals that are burning hot. She described it to us like, when you barbecue and you finish cooking your steak and there's the charcoals at the bottom and they're all fiery red, giving off embers. She said it looked like that, his eyes. And it wasn't looking toward her or at her, but it was looking forward and as it walked around, almost as if it was in a defensive mode, like guarding. She felt threatened. She said she articulates as best as she could at the time that she felt like it wanted to harm her, but not physically. It wanted to harm her somehow spiritually. And that's the best that she can articulate it. Like, I remember she said something like, "It wants my soul." So she's staring at this thing, trying to digest it, trying to figure out what she's seeing here. She's trying to figure out what the scene is. And this is the middle of the day, mind you. The sun is out. It's the middle of the day, broad daylight. And so somehow she manages to snap out of it enough to decide, I can't go through the living room, obviously. There's no way she's going to go through there. I don't blame her. So she said that her only other option was to quietly, she said she was afraid of making the slightest sound. She was afraid of breathing too loud. She went to the window and she managed to somehow get the screen off of it. I'm sure she made noise, but at that point she didn't care. And she crawled out the window. She came running to the truck. That I remember. She came running to the truck with this run of sheer terror. But more than anything, the look in her eye of sheer terror. I mentioned in one of my last videos that when you experience something supernatural that you know is evil, there's a scream you scream that's immediately recognizable and horrific. Well, she had the equivalent of that, but in the look in her eye. She had this wide-eyed panic in her face, this almost distorted appearance about her from how scared out of her wits she was, as if something was chasing after her soul and she needed to run and she couldn't run fast enough. And she was in absolute distress. She was more than crying. She was almost mute for a while there. And she couldn't say anything for a while. Somehow, over time, I think we slept at the other place still that night. I don't remember. But she couldn't go back there. for some time. Eventually, she was able to get in there, but she always had that look of caution in her. And yeah, what do you think it was?
I got my snack, so get yours. It is a snack. I'm Haitian. So, there's this girl. Let's call her Deja. Deja had got home from work and she was tired. She ate dinner, she took a shower, she read her book, and then she went to sleep. Now, Deja is a very light sleeper. I am too. Like, somebody could walk past me and I'll wake up. So it wasn't any surprise when Deja woke up at 3 a.m. to somebody knocking on her door. She knows it was 3 a.m. because when she woke up, the first thing she did was grab her phone and look at the time because it's the middle of the night. Deja's like, who the hell could be at my door at 3 a.m.? Deja also knows better, so she didn't open the door. She went and looked through the peephole, but no one was there. So she's like, am I bugging? Like, I could have sworn there was a knock that woke me up. And she sat there contemplating for a while if she's bugging or not, because she's not going to wake up for no reason. She's like, all right, forget this. I'm going back to bed. She goes back to bed. She lays down. And the moment her head touched that pillow, she heard the knock again. And so she sat up. She's like, am I tripping right now? And as she's questioning herself if she's tripping, she hears the knock again. She's like, okay, I'm not bugging because I heard it. So she went back to the door, looked through the peephole. There's still nobody there. Deja had this neighbor. Y'all know how everybody has that one neighbor that just knows everything? Like, that neighbor watches everything and just looks out. He's like the block's cop. So an idea crossed her head. She's like, maybe it's my neighbor, but I don't see anybody. And she's like, I feel like I should call my neighbor to see if my neighbor's up. Usually, sometimes her neighbor be up around that time. So she calls her neighbor. Let's call the neighbor Mr. Hanks. Mr. Hanks picks up, and Deja's like, hey, Mr. Hanks, I'm so sorry to bother you. I really don't mean to call around this time. It's just that I keep hearing somebody knock on my door, but I don't see anybody outside. So I was just wondering if you saw anybody, like, walk away. Because someone keeps knocking at my door, but I don't see anybody. So Mr. Hanks is like, yeah, you're fine. I'm up. I thought I heard a knock too, but I didn't pay it too much mind. But it's okay. I'll come over there and check it out for you. So that made Deja feel a little better because the neighbor's coming just to, like, you know, help her feel a little more safe. So she's like, whew, I'm going to go back to bed to my room until Mr. Hanks comes. She goes back to her room. She closes her door. She gets into bed, but she's not going to sleep because she's waiting for Mr. Hanks. As she's sitting on her bed, scrolling on her phone, she heard a knock again, except this time that knock was on her room door. Like, somebody was knocking her room door. So it only means that something or somebody is inside the house now, which is impossible because she never opened the door. So it's safe to say now she's frozen. She's terrified. She is freaking out. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to say. She doesn't even want to open the door. She's terrified. She grabs her phone to go and dial 911. She's trying to do this as quiet as possible. And right when she was about to do that, her window, somebody started knocking on her window. And it's the window, so it's clear. She can see nobody's there. So she immediately drops to her knees and starts praying because she doesn't know what to do. Because what is she going to say to the 911 operator? What's she going to say? There's a ghost knocking on my door? There's a ghost knocking on my window? Please come check it out. Like, she don't know what to do. As she's in front of her bed, on her knees, praying, she sees something under her bed. Now, Deja's a very clean person. She doesn't keep, like, she's very clean. She's like a germ freak. So when she saw something under her bed, she's like, impossible. And the way that the thing was, like, the way it was placed, it was as if somebody planted it there. So she goes under her bed. She reaches for whatever that she saw. She pulls it out. And it's the underwear of the person she last had sexual relations with. It was his boxers. And not only was it his boxers, when she touched it, it was oily. As if, like, the boxers that had oil on it. And it was, like, wrapped, like, as in, like, a small little ball so that it can be hidden. And when she opened the underwear, there were herbs inside. Herbs. The Haitian came out of me and I said herbs, but you get it. Deja is no stranger to witchcraft. She doesn't practice it, but she knows about it. She's like, holy shit, he got me. So she starts praying even harder. Like, she unravels the thing. She takes everything apart, goes in her drawer. She gets a lighter because she had a bathroom, like, in her room. She ran to the bathroom, ran to the sink and put the underwear on fire as she's praying over it. Y'all, when she started to burn that thing, it wouldn't burn. Mind you, the underwear has oil on it with herbs, so it should be catching fire, but it's not. And the more and more she's praying, the more and more she's trying to set it on fire, the knock that was at the door isn't even a knock anymore. It's a pound. She's hoping and praying that the neighbor comes through. However, in order for her to open the door for the neighbor, she has to leave her room, but this knock is now on her room door. So she calls her mom in the middle of the night. Her mom is like confused because she was half asleep. And Deja's freaking out. Deja's trying to explain to her mom what's happening, but her mom can't hear her because the knock on the door is so loud. After multiple tries, the mom finally understood what Deja was trying to say. And Deja's mom, too, is not new to witchcraft. She's not even from the U.S., so she definitely knows about it. Her mom immediately got angry with her because her mom is always warning her about who she, has sex with. Because, believe it or not, y'all, having relations with somebody is deeper than you think it is. That's why you're not supposed to do it before marriage. But that's another video for another day. So mom is mad at Deja. She's like, you know better. Why are you sleeping with people you barely know? To the point where they're putting things under your bed. Deja's like, Mom, clearly I know, I messed up. But what can I do right now? Because I'm praying and I'm trying to burn it and it's not working.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
Scary demonic stories, story time. A woman says that when she was 10 years old, her parents took her and her 7-year-old brother to stay at a bed and breakfast in the North Carolina mountains. She says the bed and breakfast was run by this little old lady who was in her 90s. She said the old lady made all kinds of sweets for her and her little brother to snack on all night. The elderly lady asked her mother if the 2 kids could go stay in the basement with her, because she had a TV with cable down there. So Sarah asked her daddy if it would be okay, and he said sure. So her and her little brother, Charlie, grabbed their bags and went down to the basement. She said this lady had the basement set up like a game room. TV, games, snacks, and there was a little bedroom with 2 beds in it. So they played games and ate snacks until about 11 o'clock, and the elderly lady said, okay, it's time for bed. Sarah and Charlie got in one bed, and the elderly lady got in the other bed beside them. The elderly lady turned all the lights off. Sarah said the only light they had was coming from the TV. Sarah said about 45 minutes after she fell asleep, her little brother Charlie woke her up. He said, Sarah, wake up. She said, what, Charlie? What is it? He said, the demons are going to get me. She said, Charlie, stop it and go to sleep. He said, no, Sarah, I'm not playing. I'm really scared. Sarah said she started to doze back off when she heard Charlie whisper, look at her, please look at her. So Sarah rolled over and said, what is it, Charlie? And Charlie said, look at her eyes are black. Sarah thought he was joking and just trying to scare her. So she rolled back over, and what she seen immediately scared her. She said the old 90-something-year-old lady, she was on her hands and knees facing them. Her eyes were solid black. Her mouth was gaping open, and she was growling. She said the old lady flipped back over and did a back bend and then turned her head back to them. She said her brother started crying, and they scooted together up against the wall. She said the elderly lady flipped back over onto her hands and knees and crawled over to their bed. And right as she got to them, they screamed for their mom. Their mom and dad comes running down. She crawled back over to her bed. She said the lady started hissing and growling at them. She said as soon as their dad cut the light on, the old woman fell back into bed and closed her eyes. They ran to their parents, told them what happened. The old woman sat up and was groggy like she didn't know what was going on. Sarah said her parents believed her and her brother. They packed all their stuff up and they left that house that night. But before they left, the old woman gave them a plate of brownies and a little glass figure. She said her mom threw all of it out the window on the way home.